one of the first things that really came to my mind when I heard about the FEMaLe project was, well, it's about time. It's about time that there is a collaboration, a consortium that has sort of been set up to address this matter. We all know that it takes 5 to 7 to 10 years before there's diagnosis. And we also know that there are so many women out there who are suffering from this. So that was the first thing that came to my mind. Well, finally, there will be there's a concerted effort being made. And then on top of that, what was really exciting for me was then the aspect of the machine learning, the aspect of the AI being brought into it, the use of apps and just überhaupt the digital aspect that was brought into it, which is very much a thing of today, which is something that a lot of younger women are, they're digital savvy, and it's going to be a very useful thing for them to be able to. I think this whole project will be very supportive at different levels, using technology that is very much in today. We'll be able to reach people, women who are suffering, at a much wider reach. So there's going to be a much wider reach with that. And also the fact that, this is a multi-centric collaboration consortium, which makes it really exciting. It's a multifaceted approach. It's a multifaceted, it's also going to, the fact that it's a multifaceted approach means that the outreach is going to be wider, and you can also hope for bigger outcomes with that. I'm not a gynecologist, so I didn't, and I don't deal directly with women with endometriosis. But I am a cardiologist with a passion for women's heart health. I'm a physician who has really a passion, a mission in her life to try and cover up that gap of gender inequity in healthcare. So I brought in the cardiovascular part, which is my specialty, and I'm passionate by it because 1 in 3 women die of cardiovascular disease. The second response that I gave you as a physician, that goes beyond being a cardiologist, beyond having a narrow tunnel vision specialty, and that is really, we know that at all aspects, all levels of life, there is this gender inequity in healthcare, and it is across, it's a lifetime matter for women. It's across their lifetime that there's this problem of gender inequity. And so that is that physician part in me, beyond being a cardiologist, that really touches me. And I think, we need to join forces across all specialties to empower women, mainly also to stand up for themselves when there might be any sort of problems, issues, complaints that they might be suffering from. Talk about them, bring that to the foreground, because there may be something underlying. And till now, very often, at least for women of certain age, most of the time it is thought that a lot of diseases are men's diseases and women are simply ignored, or their complaints are simply ignored. And so, empowering women to even start talking about their problems is one aspect. Now, I mentioned something about men's disease. Never mind that. Even at the moment, there's quite a movement that's happening, certainly in the UK, on empowering women to start talking about menstruation and menopause. So these are very female-specific things, which have been terribly taboo matters. So these are like, and these are not diseases, right? These are the natural occurrences in a woman's life. This is part of a normal, lifelong happening in a woman, life process in a woman's life. And even those have been taboos. So allowing women or giving them the possibility of supporting them, even there are support groups now to help women come forward and talk about their issues is I think a great step forward, and that is the empowerment part. So me, my biggest strength, coming back, it's sort of a long answer, but my biggest strength is that my understanding about the need, my understanding about the pathophysiology as to how women are different to men, and then the need for that to be recognized, and then the passion and mission to want to make other people understand it is, I think, my biggest strength. I'm very, very, when I make up my mind about something, I go all the way. And this is certainly something that I'm going to be dedicating a lot of time to. I have done so also in the past, and that's not just within my own world of cardiology. So I've been collaborating also with different specialties for that, primarily, of course, with gynecology and obstetrics in the past, where I started the first women's heart health clinic at my center in at the University of Antwerp, where I worked as a professor of cardiology. I've been working also with other departments, for example, rheumatology, where autoimmune diseases affect mainly women, and this is again not what is not recognized there is that somewhere along the life course, these women, and it's usually at a younger age, that they are affected by cardiovascular disease, because immune diseases, immunity-mediated diseases have cardiovascular repercussions, and this is something that is not recognized. And obviously, if you don't recognize something, you don't care to treat it. And who suffers at the end of the day? It's the female who suffers at the end of the day. So yes, so it's the understanding of the subject matter, is the wish to do something about it, is the passion to do something about it, and I think it's also the ability and then the networking to bring people together from different specialties, try and get the same sort of mindset onto doing something about it. And it really is a focus on women's health across the life course. That's so important. And then endometriosis will also fall into that, along with other aspects. But it's indeed, it's a good thing to also focus on endometriosis, because it's been neglected, not understood, and also very much a taboo, right? Also in certain, I think, ethnic societies, I mean, these women, also been associated with PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, and they are infertile, these women, and it's basically these women are also treated as if they are untouchables, that they are not worthy of just because they cannot reproduce, that they're not worthy of living in a society, for example, or being part of a society, where, because one doesn't really know what the real cause is of the infertility, and that endometriosis being one of them. You can put one and one together. Someone who has been suffering through abdominal pains, and the same person who is, I'm talking about a certain ethnic group, and I was exposed to that several years ago when I heard these stories. And more recently, when I thought about it, that's what I meant by saying, when you put one and one together, this woman was infertile. She was really shoved aside, as it were. her family looked down upon her because she was not able to produce children. And she had all these complaints, about these abdominal pains and so on. And so she probably had endometriosis. This is several years ago. Someone that I knew, she probably had endometriosis, but it was never discovered. She never had the possibility of being treated, and she was a stigma in the society. So these are terrible things, right? She didn't choose for it, but that was her. And the woman passed away a few years ago. She was not that old. I think she was 58 or 59, something like that. I don't know. I mean, I lost contact with her, but I don't know what the exact cause of her thing was. Her death, some sort of cancer, I believe, so which is also very young. But she suffered through her life, and also on top of that, the social stigma as well, which is heartbreaking, really. I'm really so pleased and thrilled to be part of this project, because it just sort of made me feel as if I belong now to a group where I can be I can be of some value, and that I can get a lot more value back from the group. When I attended the meeting in the advisory board meeting in Edinburgh, it was so great to meet up with so many colleagues who are working in that field and who are so incredibly knowledgeable in that field. I mean, I've been looking at it from cardiovascular perspective, from a point of view of a cardiologist. So it was a learning opportunity for me to be there and to talk to a lot of mainly gynecologists who are participating in that advisory board meeting. And I also learned a lot about what is actually going on, what sort of efforts that are being made in the work packages. So that was really very interesting to see, ranging from imaging to apps and stuff like that. So that was great. Another gratifying talk that I had was with someone from the University of Aberdeenshire. She's a professor of gynecology, and she said when she when she realized that I'm a cardiologist, she said, "Oh wow, how amazing that you're here." Some others said, "Wow, what are you doing here?" And then she said, "Oh, that's so amazing that you're here." And I'm very pleased that you're here. And they are just starting to look at collaborating with the Department of Cardiology, because they are also realizing that that this is very much needed. And it also fits in very well with the life course approach of women. Her name is Dr. Saraswat. She's from Aberdeenshire, I think, University of Aberdeenshire. And I remember her especially because she has a very special name. She's called Lucky. And I said, "Oh, that's an interesting name. Lucky Saraswat." And so she said that they're also looking into it. So that was very, very nice to hear, because, I just felt as if I'm not the only one who had thought about that, and so many years ago, that it's actually happening. Because I've been involved with women's cardiovascular health since a few years, I do have a bit of a networking around that too. And I think within the world of cardiology, and also because of my academic profile, I have connections also with scientific associations, for example. I think that could be a useful thing, the networking part, with academic scientific associations. Another point that I think is collaboration with different institutions that I've had. For example, I'm a member of the EIWH, the European Institute of Women's Health, who have, they've done an amazing amount of work over the years for women, in the work field of infertility and maternal vaccinations and maternal health and so on, you name it. So they've been busy for more than 2 decades in this field. So, so I think that networking aspect is also an important aspect that I, at different levels, so I'm talking about going from creating awareness within the field of cardiology at various levels, from scientific associations to even more local matters, local associations, I would say. And then again, the connection with institutions such as the EIWH. I'm not sure if FEMaLe is already collaborating with them. These are organizations that have already established themselves, that are known at the EU level. The European Parliament there, and they have their own connections as well. They have a lot of support as well. So I think this could also be leveraged. So I'm thinking more of that networking part, but then on top of that, there's also, again, my own background as a cardiologist, as an academic, as someone who is who knows the pathophysiology of women's cardiovascular problems and the sort of things that affect women. So I think is that networking part plus the knowledge part plus the commitment part plus the passion part that could be utilized, I think, that I could offer to sort of, further enhance the work of the FEMaLe project. I think one of the major things is really creating awareness, right? Women ought to know. Women, they are the, they take care of the whole family. They are the health monitors of their families, right? The family health monitors. And if you tell them that you could have this, this, and this, if you have these complaints, they will certainly pay attention to that. But, we live in a society, and they would certainly do something about it. But we live in a society where we have been almost indoctrinated, I would say, to think that women don't suffer from too many things, except for maybe breast cancer. Breast cancer is a thing that, affects women. There are maybe a few men who might also ever get breast cancer, but it's mainly something that happens to women. But in this day and age, 1 in 11 women die of breast cancer thanks to the improvement in the treatment modalities, the progress in science. Only 1 in 11, well, that is still a lot, I would say. But we are talking about 1 in 3 women dying of cardiovascular disease. And so, non-communicable diseases are important. They are an important cause of morbid mortality. And women, being more than 50% of this world's population, also suffer from that. And a lot of them also at a younger age. It is not only, the common thoughts, as it were, are that it's only when women are a lot older that they get, cardiovascular disease, that they, you have to be 75, 80 plus before you get a stroke or something. And when everyone knows that women suffer more from strokes. But why is that? Why is that? Largely because they have probably had untreated hypertension throughout their lifetime, which probably caused atrial fibrillation, which was maybe not recognized, and then atrial fibrillation giving rise to the stroke. So, and also untreated hypertension that may have given rise to sort of what we call heart failure with preserved ejection fraction, so diastolic heart failure. So they do suffer also from heart failure symptoms due to untreated conditions in their previous years. So, it's largely a question of creating awareness amongst a group of human beings, those being women, who are just so primed to take care of others. So if you tell them, if you don't do this, this, and this, you might be suffering from this, this, and this, and eventually it could cause this, this, and this, and you could die of that or end up in a wheelchair. They would pay attention to it, So I think it's a major part is creating awareness that that women can also suffer from cardiovascular disease, also at a younger age, and that the massive statistic that's glaring at us in the face is that 1 in 3 women are dying of cardiovascular disease. So, you cannot overlook that. You cannot look past it. You just have to accept that fact and try and understand, where does it come from? What's happening? What causes it? At what age? And why? And how can this be prevented? Because this is, at the end of the day, non-communicable diseases. They are up to 80% preventable. I'm then specifically focusing on cardiovascular. So it's 80%, up to 80% preventable. It's going to be a huge win for also the society from a socioeconomic perspective, and also, for the women concerned, for the entire, the whole family, the whole setup. It's the entire societal impact that's going to have as well. So, I think if we improve on, if you close the gap between the healthcare, gender healthcare inequity, I think there's going to be huge benefits. I really try and create awareness around that. I talk about it a lot. Before I joined the industry, I was also asked quite a lot around Belgium to come and give talks on this subject, and I did so. That was important, I speak very passionately about that, and talking about also prevention. That was also one of my huge interests. It's early diagnosis and prevention. Because I'm an imaging specialist, and I collaborated with all these different departments, 12 departments out of the 42 in the hospital, on various projects, using a lot of the non-invasive imaging technology for early diagnosis, and thereby really implementing some sort of preventing measures or early treatment measures so that, to overcome the worsening of the disease or worsening of the pathology, progression of the disease. Talking about it, of course, research knowledge into practice, try and create awareness and understanding, and thereby empowerment. But, I'm just wondering, we talked about, I'm just looking at the list here as well. We talked about what is so exciting and what is so different and what is so energizing about the FEMaLe project. It's also that, there's the multifaceted aspect, also the digitalization, it's bringing in then the AI and the machine learning part and so on. So that those tools could facilitate also translating the knowledge into practice, right? By, being able to disseminate knowledge and create awareness. When has FEMaLe been a success for you? I wouldn't say when, I would say how. How has FEMaLe been a success for you? I think it is, to my knowledge at least, this is the most concerted effort to bring together a group of people who, across different countries, who bring different expertises and bring those together to really create something that is just, that's not going to be useful right now, but I think we will be able to reap the benefits of that for a long time to come, because it will just keep on growing, it would just keep on improving on the foundation that are being laid by females. So I'm thinking about all these specialists, from their field of endometriosis, that have been brought together, imaging and some of them who's already created, someone from Hungary who had created the app, for example, that was really fascinating. And then we had a colleague from France who showed all his imaging stuff. That was fantastic. And then I'm also going to talk about that incredible paper that was also published in Nature, which was really on personalized medicine. I think these are just, up to now, these are just huge and tremendous achievements. These are landmark achievements, I would say. And we still have some time, and we hope about a year or something, I think we did it for the project, just under a year, right? And there will be still more, hopefully, publications coming out of all these efforts that have been put into it. And we're going to be learning an awful lot from all these outputs. And that's going to help us build further on the success of the FEMaLe to a project to finally, eventually, for the empowerment and improvement of quality of life and treatment for women with endometriosis. I think it's been an enormous journey, and a journey that has really delivered definite fruits, I would say. And we're going to be reaping the benefits of this journey for a long, long time to come. So this project is a huge success for me, from my point of view, personal perspective. And I suppose when you're on a journey, you don't really, of course, you have a goal in mind, and you have a destination in mind, but one doesn't really stop in. One doesn't have the time very often to stop and understand and celebrate the successes and realize them till you arrive at the end, and then till you can put everything together and then say, wow, we have achieved something enormous and great. And it will be really the building blocks for more to come. I'm completely confident of that. It will be the building blocks, not just in endometriosis, but also other disease domains. That aspect of personalized medicine, of connecting the dots, has really is a starting point, I think, for understanding a lot more about women's health. And that's the really very on a hugely exciting journey. And really, I look forward to hearing more about that, and to really also be able to participate in that at some point. I have to connect with Meta Nygaard soon. She's amazing. I think the fact that it takes such a long time for the diagnosis is probably the biggest barrier hurdle, isn't it? It's also making aware of, sort of at society at large, about the sort of symptoms that women experience in endometriosis. So if they also would learn to understand them, appreciate them earlier, they would know exactly what it's, certain symptoms are associated with endometriosis. If this is known, I think it would be a great step forward already. So again, it's creating awareness. We go back to that point again of creating awareness. It's like what Maria Tomlinson has been doing with the menstruation thing. They've got this department that's it's almost, what is it called? It's medical journalism or something like that, right? Wait, let me get the correct terminology. And they are focused on creating this awareness around it. They're doing podcasts and interviewing people who really actually talk about it. So I think if something similar can also be done for endometriosis, that would be a tremendous leap forward, I would imagine. Public communication and gender.
Right.
So journalism, public communication is a nicer term. So I think, and if endometriosis could also be approached in a similar way, that would start off with awareness, which would again be a smaller hurdle for the person to seek then advice, support, treatment possibilities, and so on. So I think this would be that is at the moment the biggest unmet need, I would imagine.